All right, so we're back. And if you hear cars going by, no big deal.
Yep, we are outside. It is the domain of the cars
If you hear police sirens, it's not us, I don't think.
because we are not police.
We are breaking the little social distancing thing. We're not 6 feet apart.
We're family. I don't think it counts.
Yeah, probably not. All right.
Although, your death wish. You're the old one here.
Oh, yeah, could be. All right, so we are continuing our study on prayer. We are looking at the wind blowing everything away, all our papers
Yeah.
and all our notes. We're looking today at another prayer from Jacob. It's interesting that there was no prayers by Isaac.
Isaac was not a spiritual man. His dad tried to sacrifice him to God, and it kind of turned him away
It
from the
turned
entire
him.
thing. Yeah.
No,
It
I
was
don't
like,
think so.
well, if this is the kind of God my family sticks with, then I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Well, that would kind of fly in the face of what Jacob says right here. So in Genesis 32, verses 9 through 12, we want to look at this. Jacob has, of course, been away. His mother his mother Rebekah and his father Isaac sent him away because, well, his brother Esau wanted to kill him. So now he's returning home after being away for about 21 years. And as he's on his way home, he is slightly concerned.
Slightly. Slightly.
Yeah, he's afraid that, there'll be some conflict at the family reunion this year.
Yeah.
He's
Who
actually
brings the turkey? How long is it going to take for Peter Parker to get the cranberry jelly? That sort of thing.
no, I think his concerns are a little more like, if my brother is the one with the knife, will he stick it in the turkey or in me?
What's the difference?
Well, am I the turkey? So that's Jacob's concern. He's uh, sent word to Esau that things have gone well with him. He's got plenty of goods, animals, wealth. And so he sends and he says to Esau all this stuff. The messengers come back
Oh yeah, I forgot
and
about this part.
and they say, "Yeah, your brother Esau is coming out to meet you, and he's got 400 other guys with him."
It was 300.
No, it's
It was 400.
400.
Okay.
Which, I mean, 30 would have been,
30 would have been scary, but 400.
400 other men coming out with him to meet you.
Yeah.
So you can imagine,
I wonder why. I wonder what Esau was thinking. Was he just like,
I want all my buddies to meet my brother.
yeah, I'm sure
Like,
that's what was going through
let's
his
go
mind.
have a big party. Well,
Not,
yeah,
I kind of want to scare my brother a little bit. He's been mean to
intimidate him
me.
just a little bit.
Flex a little.
Yeah. Well, whatever was going through Esau's mind, we do know a little more about what was going through Jacob's mind, and that was, my brother is coming to kill me. So he divides his group into two different groups and sends one, thinking, okay, if he kills that one, then, the others we can get away and whatever. Uh, you find out really who he loved more right here by who he puts in the first group and sends them
You
out
guys
into,
go first.
yeah.
Make sure that
There's
those pointy things are not as pointy.
Yeah, there might be somebody trying to kill us. You first. So anyway, so he though he prays to God and he says, beginning in verse 9, "O God of my father Abraham and 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 God of my father Isaac."
Stop ruining my biblical fan fiction.
Yeah, I don't think God really appreciates fan fiction.
Well, no, there's that verse in Revelation, but
Yeah, and there's one in Proverbs and
yeah.
Deuteronomy, and they all kind of tell you the same
Oh,
thing.
okay, so
Don't make up stuff.
there are a couple of things that were said at one point by someone, but that's not relevant here.
All right. So he says, "You, O Lord, who said to me, 'Return to your country, to your kindred, that I may do you good.'" So here he's Do you ever remind God of things He said in your prayers? I mean, I've never really done that a lot. I don't.
More often, I'll be complaining to him, and then I'll remember a verse that goes
That
perfectly
He like
against what I'm complaining
that
about,
He
and
like
then I'll be like,
promised this way.
okay, yes, I know I'm being stubborn, I'm sorry. So generally, it goes the other way around.
Yeah. Well, in this, and I know a lot of people who pray Scripture,
Hmm.
and I've never really done much of it.
No.
I think there's a knack to it. I mean, it's something you can kind of you could overdo it or you could do it wrong and mess it up or whatever. So, but I've never really done much of that. But that's kind of what Isaac, Jacob is doing here.
Joseph, wait, where are
No,
we?
did we go too far? That's what Jacob is doing here in a sense. I mean, even though it's not at that time wasn't scripture yet, it
Hmm.
was what God has said to him, what
Yeah.
God has told him to do.
Hmm.
And so sometimes we might, and it's not that God doesn't remember,
No.
he knows what he said, but sometimes almost as much for our own comfort as, for telling him what he already said, like he doesn't know it. But we do have some examples of that kind of thing in the scriptures, and it can be a useful thing to do.
Yeah.
But he says, "You said to me, return to my country," and so the question is, where did God say that to him?
Um, okay, let me check my time here. Something 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 BC.
Well, I mean, where in the Bible do we
Oh,
read
okay.
about God
Right
saying?
here.
Well, yeah,
Well,
that's where
okay.
He
See, yeah,
says that
but
God
see,
said it.
here's
But
the
where
thing.
do we
God,
read God saying it?
well, g- we don't. But
Yes,
since
we
God,
do.
wait, we do. Where?
Yes, right there.
Oh, I
That's why
thought
I
you
printed
said
that
you
out.
could never find that part.
I was looking for it and I couldn't find it, and then I did. Isn't that amazing?
Well, I'm sorry, I missed the conclusion to that part.
Isn't
Okay,
that
so
fun?
Genesis 31:3. If I pay attention to my notes,
Yeah, see,
apparently.
that's what notes are for.
Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you.
Yeah. So Jacob's reminding God of that promise.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, he does though. Then he turns and he says, "I'm not worthy of the least of all the deeds of steadfast love and all the faithfulness that you've shown to your servant." That's a that sounds like some humility right there.
Hmm.
Uh, Jacob knows that God has been better to him than he deserves.
And considering Jacob's character previously, it's good to see some humility from him because, I mean, think about who he
Yeah,
was earlier in
he's
life. He was, his name means heel grabber, trickster,
backstabber.
backstabber. He was not exactly the most pleasant or kind of assuming
Trustworthy or
trustworthy or humble or anything of people.
well, remember why he had to leave home in the first place.
Yeah,
Him and his mom schemed to steal his brother's birthright or blessing.
yeah, kind of got to
So,
wonder about his mom too.
well, yeah.
They had
Well,
they
I
had a
mean,
family, we'll
you
put
know
it that
about her
way.
brother Laban, who then tricked Jacob time and time again with the whole swap wives for him on the wedding night thing. And
Like I said, they had a family.
yeah, yeah, they
They had
were,
like sitcom style
and yeah,
family.
and then Laban's other daughter, Rachel, who hides the idols, and
After stealing them
yeah,
from
so
her father and making her father chase her husband.
you know, dysfunctional family goes back a long way in this. It's not, and yet this is the family that God has
The
chosen
family.
as his family that's going to ultimately be the nation that then is going to bring Christ into the world. So it just shows you what God can do
Yep.
with you, regardless of who you are. But Jacob finally does realize here, and he said, "I'm not worthy of even the smallest amount of this stuff. It's just nothing to do that I deserve." Um, he goes on to say, "For with my staff and only my staff, I crossed this Jordan, and now I've come back as two camps." Remember, he split them in half to send some.
I thought he split them in three.
Well, at first he had sent some of his servants with some of the cattle on ahead, and as a gift for Esau. So he'd done that, and he'd actually done three groups of that. So that's
Mhm.
probably what you're thinking of there, where he
Yeah.
sent the
Yeah,
three
that's
groups
it.
and say, and tell him, Jacob's coming on behind with more, you know. But then, of course, they brought back the word that his brother's coming out, and so now he says, I'm two camps now. Please deliver me from the hand of my brother, the hand of Esau, for I fear him. Fear that he may come and attack me, the mothers with the children. But you said, I will surely do you good and make your offspring as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. So he's saying, God, you promised me my descendants were going to, of course, no, that doesn't mean God's not going to let him die. He's got a bunch of children. The
Yeah.
children could go on. But he said, you promised me this, and now I'm afraid Esau's going to kill me. So please fix this.
I think it's interesting. I see this a lot in life and a fair amount in the Bible as well. When do we talk to God the most often?
Always when we're in trouble.
Always when we're in trouble. I mean, even if you're not really all that spiritual or religious of a person, you see like atheists and stuff, they get in trouble, they're probably going to wind up praying, even if they don't believe in God, just because when you're in trouble, that's
And
what you do.
if you're up there, if there is a God, please help
Uh-huh.
me. Yeah, that kind of thing.
And I think while we're reading through this prayer in particular at this point, it's good to keep in mind that while obviously we do need help from God often, and while we should be humble and we don't deserve everything that He has done for us, at the same time, we shouldn't just come to Him when we've got a problem.
Yeah, this isn't the only time to pray.
Hmm.
We shouldn't treat God like a spare tire that we don't pay any attention to until we're in trouble and we need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, the example that I always think of, and I did a sermon on, is Daniel. That no matter what was going on in Daniel's life, he would kneel and pray 3 times a day facing Jerusalem. Whether everything was going great, whether stuff was going bad, whether he needed help, whether he was thankful, no matter what it was, 3 times a day he was on his knees praying.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something we do need to practice our prayer, all praying to God all the time, and not just because we think we need Him right now. At some point, when if you only turn to Him and start, He'll like, who are you?
Yeah.
Haven't seen. I don't know who you are. Uh, but of course, God did answer this prayer that Jacob prays. And God did remember Jacob and did take care of him and did bring him safely back home as he had promised. And of course, this ties back in really with that first prayer that we looked at a couple days ago, where Jacob was promising God, if you'll take care of me like you've promised, then I'll do all this. So now it's time, Jacob better start filling in his side of the promises, although we don't ever read about him doing that.
Yeah.
But here he is coming home, and Esau does come out to meet him. And instead, I guess, in the 20 years that Esau hasn't seen his brother, his anger has kind of melted, and
Yeah.
he's not still bitter. He's done well for himself in spite of
And
having the blessing
and
stolen.
you get to the point where you kind of realize, well, I can kind of understand, Dad's only going to give out the one blessing and the one firstborn thing, and you wanted that, I wanted that. I can understand that you wanted that, and if things had been reversed, I probably would have done the same thing. So I'm not gonna stay upset at you for something I would have done if I were in your
Yeah.
shoes as well.
In spite of, it seems like they kind of reconcile here a little bit, not 100%. They're not ever best friends or anything like that. But Israel and Edom do that. Edom is Esau's descendants. Israel, of course, Jacob's descendants. They do have a lot of strife and struggles on down through the years. It continues, but at least at this point, Esau doesn't kill him. Things do go well for him in this circumstance, and God answers his prayer, brings him back home safely. So when we are in trouble, we can turn to God. That shouldn't be the only time we do, but we can. And he loves us, and he especially, he has promised to care for his children, and if we are his children, we can come to him and expect that he cares and he'll listen and he'll take care of us. All right, so we will. You got something else before we
Um,
close out?
just this one went a little long. Not gonna apologize too much for that because we hope it was all good.
Some prayers go long too.
That's true. Hope you learned something, and if not, hope you were reminded of something that you already
Already knew.
knew
Yeah.
that can be helpful for you. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and hope you'll pray for God to protect you. And in fact, we're going to talk a little bit about protection in our next video as we talk about aspects of prayer. So we'll see you next time.
Bye.